Hello, World Civ 106 class. Welcome to the fall semester of 2021. Here we are in such great times. Everything's perfect. No big deal. All right. So I live here in Portland, and we've had summers as hot as living in the Central Valley. I'm from the 209 myself. And but we don't have AC, and so it's only just been recent that we've had any nice days at all where it's comfortable to be in my apartment. And so, you know, we look around also with all the fires, the air quality. Of course, there's all this great stuff on the news, and everybody gets along, and nobody's having big disagreements. Everything's fine. So, no. Look, the world is kind of a mess, and there's a lot of distractions for being in school. There always has been, but now it's just like really a lot. So let me just clarify something. When I was in college, I was married and I got a divorce. I became a single dad for the most part. At least I had my daughter full time. Should I say, like, the bottom line is that I went through a lot of crazy dramas when I was in school, and I've been going through that since I've been working. So I just want you to know that I am supportive and empathetic to all of my students that are just having life issues. So your kid might be sick. Maybe you're in the military and you have something to do there, or you... I wasn't in the military, but what I'm saying is that I'm aware. I have a lot of students that have been. I'm aware that there's a lot of outside things that can draw you away from your class. It could be something as simple as you're really heartbroken over someone. The bottom line is, though, is when you're not turning in your work or you're turning in low quality work, that's all I'm seeing. I try to reach out to students that are struggling, but sometimes I just have a lot of students. If you don't communicate with me why you're having a hard time, I just have to grade you based on what the grade is. And I need you to understand that I will help some of you fix messes that you end up getting in. But sometimes I have students that contact me that like the last week of the semester and try to explain their life and then want to turn in 20 late assignments. That's not how it works. So with me, I'm very approachable. I just need you to communicate with me always. Communication is golden, as I always say. Like, that really, really, really makes a difference. And then we can look at how to deal with this. Late work does not get accepted automatically. You can't just turn in late work and expect me to give you full points. You need to explain yourself, okay? That's what you need to do if you want full points. And so just please keep that in mind. So I'm always going to be supportive of you on that. Just know, like, I have your back, all of you as my students, to make sure that you're going to succeed. So how do you succeed in my class? How does this class work? First of all, we have video notes. You have to write notes on all the videos. And everybody always asks me, like, all the videos, Mr. Pollock? So let me make this very clear. When a professor makes a post of a video and tells you to watch it, and you don't have to write notes on it or write about it in a paper, do you watch it? You already know what the answer is. You don't. You really don't. And if you do, you're like one of the few. And it makes sense because you're busy. And if you don't have to be held accountable to watching a video, you're not going to watch it. Now, I made lectures. Some of them are better than others. Sometimes I have coughs, and I was sick when I did them, and there was construction going on. Look, I'm not the best, most polished of lecturers, but I do have solid content that is relevant to the class, and with PowerPoints and all that. Okay, and you're going to watch them. Oh my gosh, this thing keeps falling out. This one ear. It's like, I'm like, oh, I just want to on this technology thing. This thing is not making me happy. Anyways, so you have to watch those videos, and you have to prove to me that you watched them, and you write 2 points made. Points that were made in there. And by the way, a point is an actual point. If you just cut and paste a line, or if you just say this was talking about Mesopotamia, that's not a point. It has to be something solid. I'm giving you examples at the bottom of this announcement of what kind of things I'm looking for, okay? So you're here to learn, prove that you're learning. prove that you're doing the work. That's what the notes are for. And if you have longer videos, a lot of times I will actually say that more points are needed for them because you're going to watch a longer video. That will be a good chunk of the work that you do. I don't use the calendar, so you're going to need to look at the weekly work objectives every week. That's what you need to look at. And there's only going to be 2 days that work will ever be due. They'll be due on Thursday nights or Sunday nights. Sometimes I will switch it up and all work will be due on Sundays. Sometimes I will actually do something nice and you won't have to do a Sunday paper at all. But basically, it's going to be those 2 days. So it'll be Thursdays and Sundays, or just Thursdays or just Sundays. But you will know this by looking at your weekly work objectives on the links on the modules. Okay, that's what you're going to need to be doing. And so nothing's going to pop up showing you something's due. Okay, you look at that itself, and you're going to know. And it's very consistent in my class. Okay, and so. Having said that, that's how the video notes work. In terms of the discussions, I'm going to be a little bit more cracking down on the discussions. Look, I'm tired of the fluff discussions where you're just basically giving BS. You're just like, yeah, man, that Russian guy was really crazy. He was tough. And wow, I really liked your comment, so-and-so. Like, keep up the good work. It's great, but I hope you're having a good semester. Okay, this is fluff. This is pointless. It's pointless for all of us. Make the discussions interesting. Put some thought into them. And I shouldn't have to say this, you have to be respectful to your students in the discussions, okay? Yes, you have a constitution that gives you free speech, but we also have a thing called manners and decorum, and it's a classroom. So I will manage that, okay? You know what manners are. If you say something disrespectful to somebody or combative or insult them, I'm going to erase it, and you're going to have to redo it. And you know what that is. So I don't care if I even agree with your opinion. And that's actually happened. I've had students where they say something I agree with, but they're so rude about it. I'm like, no, you don't talk like that to another student. Okay? That doesn't happen often, but if it does, shut down. Okay? Start over. So just keep your manners, but also don't be so sensitive. It's college. You have to have a debate sometimes. Okay? So let's find some happy mediums in that. All right. In terms of the papers are simply reflections on what we covered. They are not research papers. They're essentially doing what you're doing with the notes. You are just being held accountable that you've really paid attention to the content that we covered directly in this class. So I don't grade that hard when you follow my instructions, but here's what gets you automatic zeros. This is so important to get clear right off the bat, please, because I end up having this conversation again like 6 weeks in, and I don't know how this happens every semester. A history paper without dates covering a time period is not a history paper. So if you give me this great paper and I have no idea what time period you're talking about, then you get a 0. Okay? So you're going to talk about medieval times. If you even say medieval, but you're still not giving me a time frame, I want to see 1066 or 11 this, or even saying the 10th century, 11th century, 12th century, those kind of things. At least we're getting me a ballpark, and I should see some of the characters that we've discussed in the class in the papers as well. Okay. You need to put a works cited, but it's really just the reference to what you've utilized for each part of the paper. So it's not works cited like the way we traditionally do it, and you just put it all at the end in a bibliography. I just need to see within the paper itself, within parentheses, you indicating to me what video that you saw that you got the information from, or the textbook, okay? Or you can utilize the textbook. If you don't have the textbook right now, you can just use the videos for the Sunday papers. So once again, you can do the Sunday papers without a textbook. It just makes it a little bit easier because you can draw from the textbook. And that gives you just more to fill in for your Sunday papers, okay? But you have to use those, and you just have to refer to them. And it has to be parentheses after a paraphrase of the content or a direct quote. What's a paraphrase? Look it up if you don't know. Paraphrase, a very important term, okay? Putting into your own words, right? Or a direct quote. No outside sources. And so you will get a 0 if you don't have dates, if you don't make a reference within the paper to where the content is coming from, / works cited, roughly, but like in that specific way that I'm telling you to do. And if you use outside sources. Those are all going to give you 0s. Use everything that was talked about. Give me some dates and some people. Refer to what parts you were using. Boom, A, every time. And you can look at your video notes. And what I recommend you do is you look at the Sunday paper topic. You then write your video notes with, like, you're keeping in mind like what topic you're going to be covering, and you're looking for that information. You can put that in the notes and then reword your notes into the paper so that basically the video notes are kind of like the skeleton, and then you just put the meat on it into a Sunday paper. And so you can utilize them, okay? So that's a great way to make it easier on yourself, and so you're getting a 2-for-1 with your work. The way I set up the semester's workload is that you are being kept busy, but it's very realistic and sets you up for success once you get the understanding and the flow. I have a lot of times when I start my semesters, many students will drop thinking it's too much work, and then the most of the students that stay actually get A's and B's, and they realize that this is a very straightforward class, no tricks to it, okay? So keep that in mind. I'm going to give examples of notes and the papers with this video. Feel free to ask me any questions you want about it. In terms of the content, I need to start off by saying something which it's a little bit weird for me to do. I've never had to do before, but I do feel like I need to address. Someone pointed out to me that there was a recent Rate My Professor's comment that in my 105 Western 105 class that I had unchecked misinformation and conspiracy theories in my classes. Now, I've never had anybody do that before, but okay, fine. Here's what the reason why I'm addressing it is because that may cause some concern for you if you saw that. Am I really being professional? Am I really giving you some proper substance to this class? So that's what I'm trying to do, is to reassure you of that. So first of all, to giving the student the benefit of the doubt, a lot of students will sit through a class and hear things that bother them or they disagree with, and I've been in this position where you feel that if you challenge the professor, by that whether it's because of their politics or their own ego, that they're going to punish you in some way or just not give you very good grades if you are in conflict in any way with the professor. And the conflict just may be saying, like, I think that information you're saying is questionable, or blah 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 blah. Well, first of all, I just want to assure all of you that you do not get graded based on whether you agree with my anything, okay? You are not required to believe in anything I teach in this class. You are only required to do the work that is asked of you. And I've always felt this way, and I've thought that I've made this very clear, okay? That, so that's just something I just want to say off the topic. So I've had some students really debate with me on some heavy topics. They're writing to me in the message, not necessarily on the discussion boards, but personally. And we disagreed to the very end on many things, and those students still had A's in my class because we disagreed about like the whole entire worldview of so many things. And at the same time, hey, they were engaged, and I was actually really excited that they were feeling confident and comfortable to communicate with me, have this discussion, and do that. This is what college is about, okay? Now, I will just say, there was no conspiracy theories. I don't show conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories, what are conspiracy theories? They're when you have something that sounds like a plausible idea but doesn't have any backed up real historic evidence. I have a conspiracy theory on a lot of current things going on. I have a lot of conspiracy theories for myself that I talk with my friends. But the reality is I understand that there's no documentation to solidify them. They're just plausible, and maybe over a period of time, information will come out and clarify certain things, and those ideas will be hold up or not, okay? That's not what I'm doing in this class. Now then, the topic of misinformation. Now I want to address that. Look, other than math, almost every class is subject to having misinformation, okay? I mean, a history class is kind of like a court case. The historians take the evidence, they pile it on, and then they come up with a conclusion. Now, we all know in court cases that the court case can come up with evidence and all this, and then they say the verdict is someone's guilty or innocent. Years later, we find out that the court case was false because of new information. Sometimes information was manipulated deliberately. So we all have to go through this process. This is what we're doing in history class. This is why in my class it's not multiple choice. Historians don't come up with multiple choice questions. School boards or other social engineers try to tell you, say A, B, C, or D, or E, whatever. Well, it's more complex than that, and we're going to engage in history in that way. So I think that what really happened is that I dealt with more controversial topics in that class, and the student didn't like the information that I had. I wish I would have been able to know. If you point out something and I'm wrong about something, I will correct it. I will actually publicly make an apology and I'll fix that, okay? But you owe it to yourself to also challenge me to know if you're challenging yourself. I mean, it's easy to say somebody is full of it and post it online. This is what's the hip thing to do now, right? But it's not easy to actually engage and defend our take on our beliefs opposed to somebody else's. I want you to enjoy college, and I want this to be a safe space for you to do that. And when I say safe space, what I mean is that is what an intellectual environment is supposed to be about, okay? Now, we deal with the topic of world religion that as I focus on here. And so I'm going to quickly say this. We're already going 17 minutes into this intro, but I just want to say something. I start off with evolution. I know most of you are, many of my students are religious. You don't believe in it. And again, you don't have to believe in it. You are learning what secular historians, archaeologists, and physical anthropologists, how they construct the origins of human civilization as a start. So when you're taking this portion of the class, that's all you're addressing. What do these folks say and why do they say it? It doesn't mean that you are in agreement with it, okay? We're going to cover ancient Israel, which many of you will love, and many of my religious students love this. But it's also dealt with from a secular historian's point of view, and it doesn't take the biblical history to be 100% fact automatically, in the same way that historians approach the Odyssey and the Iliad. And so that is also bothering you. Again, you're not required to believe in those. You're just required to try to understand why they're saying those things. And so what you're going to see is you're going to learn a lot about the world in many different ways and different cultures. And most of my students that are taking this class really come out feeling excited. And what's nice about the 106 is it's not that political. It's not being politically correct. It's just trying to give you an overview of many different cultures and using their main religious views as a way to get you to understand them. And so if you're an atheist or if you are of a particular religious belief system, either way, you will just be interested to know, like, what are some of the things that that developed out of Asia, the Middle East, in Mesoamerica and Europe and all of that. So I hope that you really just find this class to be inspiring and inspirational and all of that. And I'm going to leave it at that. Welcome to my class, and let's be in touch if you have any other questions.